We are live. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. First off, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Real quick, let me make sure my settings are good. Perfect. All right, let me adjust this. Again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover true crime, mystery to the missing. Before we start talking about Micah Miller's case and the recent developments, we always like to give back by featuring missing people at the beginning of the show. And I do take requests, so if you do have like a friend or a family member that recently went missing or has been missing for a while, you can email me with the details and I'd be happy to feature them in the upcoming live show. So today we have Shaina Feynman. I think I pronounced that wrong last time. This was sent in by a viewer. I think she was a classmate of Shaina. She went missing March 9th, so it's been just over 2 months. This is in Arizona between Peach Springs and Seligman. Now, I recently looked up her case, and it seems like, from what I understand, this may be, again, just possibly, allegedly, foul play involved. Because apparently, in the recent clips that I saw, they were saying that the last people that were to have seen her are not talking or not cooperating with law enforcement. So that doesn't sound very good. And if true, that could mean there could be some kind of foul play involved. Hopefully there's not, but anybody that lives out in Arizona or in that area, this is Shaina, 35 years old, brown hair, green eyes, 5'4", 100 pounds. There is a reward, $1,500. If you have any information, you can be anonymous. You can call 1-800-932-3232. Once again, that's Shaina Feynman, missing out of Arizona. And so that went away. And then just real quickly, one more, and then we'll get into Micah Miller. Actually, let me get this one. This is probably better. This is another one. I'm going to be trying to reach out to the father. I know he's kind of busy, but this is James Yablonsky. He went missing in Wisconsin almost a year ago now. He went missing June 12th of 2023, just 13 years old. Sorry, missed his first birthday last Christmas. And anyway, long story short with him is he took the family's van and drove to this Devil's Lake State Park. He had pulled over. He also took his father's cell phone and he hiked up about 100 yards from the highway. He left the family's vehicle on the road, so they were able to find it pretty quickly. But by the time they found his camp, he was already gone, and he had left the phone that he stole from his father there at the campsite. So unfortunately, they can't track him any further. His father believes that he may have been, somebody had been talking to him, like a predator or something, and forced him out there to meet up with him. And so anyway, they have not heard anything about him. There's a $10,000 reward. Again, we may learn some more information. I don't know if we're going to have him on the show or if I may just do like an interview behind the scenes and then just do a video. But again, this is James Yablonsky, $10,000 reward. Unfortunately, I don't have a phone number on this one. Let's see if we have a phone number on this one. So yeah, if you have any information about James Yablonsky, missing out of Reedsburg, Wisconsin, 5'11", 120 pounds, you can call 608-355-3508. All right. So let's get on to Micah Miller. We've been covering her story a lot recently. One more thing. I wanted to go live yesterday, but I couldn't because my internet was down for 28 hours. I don't know if it's in regards to this solar storm that's been going on. The timing is kind of interesting. I've never had the internet go down for 28 hours, maybe like a 3 to 5 hour window, but never a whole day. So we are, of course, Utah is much higher in elevation. So it's possible. I didn't see anything that it was saying that it was related to the solar storm, but again, I've never had my internet out for 20 hours, so that was kind of wild. So anyway, let's get on with the show.
It's Micah Miller.
And one more time, as people are trickling in, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day again to all the mothers out there. All right, so I am going to just quickly play a little recap. I always do this when we cover a story. For anybody that's not familiar with Micah Miller's story, I'll play, I think it's like a 3 to 4 minute, just kind of a recap of her story. And then her father was on News Nation. I don't know if it was posted yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday, though. But he dropped some bombshell information. So we'll get into that and a lot more.
A 30-year-old woman who was energetic, full of life, and a loving sister and daughter. Recently, Micah had been dealing with a pending divorce with this man, former pastor John Paul Miller.
This is the worst sermon I've ever preached my whole life. I can't stand it. I just want to give the altar call and quit now. One day, listen, if you ever want to know what I'm going through in life, it's always about what I'm preaching about. God is so good to do that every single time.
Micah claimed that she had been dealing with many forms of abuse from John Paul, as mentioned in this clip.
Relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are.
But sadly, on April 27th, just days after serving her husband with documents about a no-contact order, she was found dead in the Lumber River State Park. The cause of death, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
About the announcement here in the building, please, if you can, so y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next, little bit, because I don't want to have, I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks, I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And so it's all I can, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me.
Many wondered, with John Paul's shady past and her allegations, could this have been staged and something more nefarious? Her family was adamant that she was not a woman who was acting like she was going to take her own life. And recently, Micah stated, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was JP," referring to John Paul Miller. So what actually happened on the 27th of April? According to recently...
Okay, so I just want to pause there so I can get to chat. Renee, member for 2 months. I know you've been a member for much longer than that. Thank you, Chris, for all you do for victims and their family. It is my honor, and I would not be able to do what I do without your guys' support. So I'm just an extension of your guys' amazing grace. So thank you so much. I saw a comment I wanted to get to. Where to go? Lindsay, good to see you. Cold Cases 2 are only the missing. As far as covering, we cover just about everything. True crime, cold cases, missing. If it's a cold case that you want me to cover, I usually try to feature missing people. If this is a cold case and it's a missing person, then yeah, I'd be happy to. If they've been missing for decades, I get people that request those kind of things. Hopefully that answers your question.
Released documents, it seems that 11 a.m. Micah is captured on ring cam at her residence, leaving her home. She is then captured on surveillance at a nearby pawn shop around noon, purchasing a 6-hour 9mm, along with a box of bullets. After purchasing the gun, Micah would then head to the Lumber River State Park, which is just over an hour drive. Sadly, it's believed she arrived to her final destination sometime before 3 p.m. At 2:54 p.m., Micah would make a 911 call from her cell phone.
Okay, so I'm going to skip this part, but that's just kind of a recap. Of course, some people that were out there, they had found her body. We're going to actually recap that and go into a little bit more detail. So this is why I'm going to skip this part for now. But sadly, on April 27th, after going to the pawn shop and then stopping at a few other places, which we're going to look at, they would then eventually find in her body later that day around, I think, about 4 p.m. I think she called 911 just before 3 p.m., just about right at 3 p.m. And then some people that were out there, by the time they got there, there had been some witnesses that had heard the event. And so we'll get to them as well. Now, according to John Paul Miller, because a lot of people suspected he may have had a hand in this, as far as an alibi, he was spotted in another town, Charleston, at a sporting event. He had left the day prior and then was there into the next day. And so as far as him being directly involved, it doesn't seem like it. But then again, he has hired PIs, and he has admitted this, and we'll look at this because he has sent a text claiming that he did use PIs and tracking devices of his, and so could definitely be some nefarious things going on. But so here's a picture with her family. The guy in the middle is her father, and we're gonna look at his interview with News Nation, where he drops some really shocking details. And then we'll kind of break down the footage of her on April 27th. I did some video enhancement, some AI enhancement on some pictures and stuff. Because there has been some talk about, is this an actor? Is this the same woman? And anyway, we'll kind of cover a little bit of everything today. Tom, good to see you, buddy. He says, Happy Mother's Day to all of you amazing ladies out there. Thank you so much, Tom. Yes. Again, for those that are just coming in, Happy Mother's Day.
Red flags.
Oh, and here, I wanted to show this before we go do the interview. I believe this is the mother, or at least a family mother, responding about because her body was cremated. And so it says, she's kind of replying to the question, and it says, I did, but JP, referring to John Paul, told the owner of the borough that if her father and myself didn't sign the paper, he would refuse to let anyone see her for the very last time. I mean, that is so cruel. And so I'm assuming this paper to cremate her, though they wouldn't be able to see the body unless they sign these papers. Goes on to say, I dug my heels in crying and screaming as I signed that damn paper. I had my entire family begging me, fussing at me to sign. I fainted a few times later as I was trying to view Micah, and crushed my poor Anna. There's so more we need to be saying. God help us.
Joined now exclusively by.
So now here is the interview done with the father on the left, and then I believe one of her sisters on the right.
Micah's father, Michael Francis, and her big sister,
Destiny
Barrientos. Thank you to both of you. And may I just say I am so sorry to be meeting you under these circumstances. And my heart goes out to your family in dealing with what you are coping with. I cannot imagine being in your shoes. Michael, if I may begin with you, you feel that the investigation has been less than complete, to say the least, on Micah's death. What do you believe happened? What is your theory of how Micah died?
My theory of how Micah died? Well, I know she was pushed to the brink. I know that There is no reason for her to be out there in that area. We've never been there. She's never been there. I mean, my theory is broad right now. There's bruises on her hand. There's injury to her other arm, like a handprint.
Bruises on her hand and other injuries, like a handprint on her arm. So, I mean, that's pretty shocking to hear. Bruises on one hand, and then he says injuries and a handprint on an arm.
And these things were not documented, and they did not show up for no reason. And we were not satisfied with the answers that we were given in the entirety. It didn't seem like enough was done. And we just want more answers. We want more checking into this.
So here is this, and we'll go deeper into this, but this is her at the pawn shop, and I'm running an AI filter, AI enhanced filter, and I'm scrolling at before and after, because keep in mind, when you do AI enhancement, it kind of smooths things out. You know, it's not always, 100% accurate. It just kind of blends things in. Of course, it's gotten a lot better. You'll notice the difference right now, her face as to before. I'm gonna play here in just a second. There we go. So here's kind of the original, and then notice how it kind of fills in her face and smooths things out. But the reason why I wanted to do this is because what the father claims is that there's bruises on her hand. Now, of course, he also mentions that there's injuries and a handprint on her arm. Now, of course, she has sleeves on, so we wouldn't be able to see any. If there was pre-existing bruises, we wouldn't be able to see that with at least the arms. But I figure we get a good look at her left hand here, and then we get a good look at her right hand. He doesn't specify which hand. But just looking here, again, you can only take this for what it is. I mean, this is a picture that's, it's not a close-up. But from here, I don't see any bruises. That doesn't mean there isn't any. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. But this is her left hand. And then, of course, we get to see her right hand as she extends that out in a different photo. I thought that was kind of interesting. And then we'll also look at, is this the same woman? Because there has been a lot of talk on internet wondering if this was some kind of like actor or things like that. We like to speculate on this channel, but we still try to stick with the facts and everything. And then look for details to tell whether this is her or not. The Apple Watch, to me, sticks out. I'm not sure if this is Apple Watch. I wanted because I just was looking at the Riley string case. But yeah, whatever kind of watch this is, we do see her with that. We notice that she's got a necklace. So there's many things that we've seen her wear before this event that would line up that this is her. Also, her ring right here, we can actually see her ring. And I will do an overlay with her wearing her ring later on. But now we get a look at her right hand. And we just kind of run a filter over the enhancement, but I don't see any bruising. Not to, again, to say that it isn't there, but I certainly don't see any bruising there. Michigan Wifey, member for 2 months. Happy Mother's Day to y'all. Thank you so much, Michigan Wifey, for the Happy Mother's Day wish and for supporting the channel. You are so awesome. Thank you so much. And he's injured. Right. But I don't see, again, you have to take this with a grain of salt because, this is a photo that's taken from a distance. Where we don't know exactly where the bruising, but a hand, I would think, we at least get to see the top half of her hand. I don't see anything that stands out. And usually when you run AI, let's say if there was like a blotch on her hand, let's say there was like a bruise on top of her hand. Usually when you run an AI, it'll smooth things out and either expand it or make it disappear because it's trying to, smooth everything out. So sometimes, if there's little blemishes, either it'll expand them or make them disappear completely. And I don't see any of those things on here. I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, I sit from the position that I think he was indirectly involved. So just to know where I stand, I know that there's people out there that believe that someone was there forcing her to do this. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know. Certainly possible. But we'll go on to listen to the interview. We're going to double back to this AI enhancement, and I did a bunch of other things as well to show something that I found very interesting, but I wanted to save it for when more people came in. But let's listen to more to this interview because it's pretty shocking.
Investigators still have not released Micah's personal possessions, like her cell phone in particular, which is a pretty critical piece of evidence. Tell me why it is so important for the family to get those things back.
It's true.
Micah had been gathering information to help with her divorce for quite a while, previous to her commitment to the hospital that was unwilling. She had all of her stuff on her phone at that time and her laptop. When she was committed against her will, John Paul had went to the hospital to pick up her.
Okay, so this is very interesting because we're going to kind of jump around a little bit, but I thought this was very fascinating. So we know that she was admitted on February 8th through the 10th, and it seems like there could have been ulterior motives involved in this. And listen to what she says about this. Let me back it up just a little bit, but because we know that he takes her purse and her vehicle.
John Paul had went to the hospital to pick up her items, deleted all of her information off of those items, and held them till they were past the date that we could recover anything. So it's very vital for us to get this cell phone that she currently had, because we do believe that there could be quite a bit of evidence on there.
So did he have her committed so he could go and get a hold of her items, like her phone, and delete stuff, incriminating evidence? And that's certainly a possibility. And so I also wanted to go over this. I'm not going to read the entire report, but this is the FOIA report where it talks about where she was committed. She was hospitalized on February 8, 2024. Her car was left at a Walmart in the parking lot. And then she was released 2 days later, February 10th. She goes back to this Walmart, and her car's gone. And so she had made a report claiming that, her husband came and took the car, stole the car, but because they were still officially married, that this is marital property, so technically he's not committing a crime, but she does mention that her purse, where is that? Does it mention the purse? I think it's somewhere in here. Yeah, her purse and car keys were gone, and I'm assuming in her purse was probably her phone where he went. And so it'd be interesting if they could find out if he really did delete stuff. I mean, why would you be deleting stuff on your wife's phone,
Michael?
If it wasn't
one of the things
because
that
there was something incriminating against you on there.
I think has stuck with a lot of people is that Micah met John Paul when she was in the youth ministry in the church, when she was just 14,
Right.
and he was a leader in the church. That did not escape a lot of people. Ultimately, they ended up married. But is there something that you and the family know or feel or believe about Micah's claim that she was being groomed from the time she was a child?
Absolutely. Yes, her demeanor changed over time, and she became more and more compressed, less and less of herself. And as soon as they got married, her behavior went downhill fast as far as being her lively, jovial self. And she seemed to be more sad, more under control, and didn't seem to be her free self. Didn't seem to be able to accomplish things she wanted to without him causing them to end. She would do something amazing, and he would shut it down and would not repeat functions. I just believe he really compressed her. I really believe that he just sucked the life right out of her and caused her to go downhill from the moment after they got married, the moment after he forced her to have a certain surgery.
Whoa. Forced her to have a certain surgery. Brett, where's this happening at? This is in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach area. Just in case somebody hasn't answered his question. And this happened, everything kind of started coming to light, I think, about April 20th. Or was it right after her death? But around late April is when this happened. She took her life on April 27th. So it's been now, 2 weeks, sadly. Then I wanted to go to the other one. Something about Scientology. Yeah, it does give the Scientology vibes. About the church. Apparently, this church that, he was a pastor at, but he's not anymore. They said that, people that want to leave or did leave from the church, they would be harassed. And this is common with, I want to be careful with using the word cult, because I don't want to offend anybody, but, like Scientology, Nexium, they do this thing where you're considered an SP, which stands for suppressive person. And this is basically when somebody wants out of the church, and let's say if you're husband and wife, the husband wants out, the wife stays in. Well, now that husband is considered an SP, a suppressive person, and basically an enemy of the church now. And they're supposed to disown any family members that want out of the church. It's pretty messed up. And then, especially if they start talking bad about the church publicly, they will hire people to literally go out and try to destroy their lives and dig up dirt on them and stuff like that. So, but anyway, let me back this up because he just drops another bombshell.
Would not repeat functions. I just believe he really compressed her. I really believe that he just sucked the life right out of her and caused her to go downhill from the moment after they got married, the moment after he forced her to have a certain surgery, and she had a violent reaction from the anesthesia, and he took advantage of that.
What kind of surgery are you saying he forced her to have?
I would rather not say.
Okay, I understand. But I do want to pull on that thread a little. Do you believe that John Paul Miller had inappropriate sexual contact with Micah before she was legally allowed to be in that kind of a relationship? Do you think there could be charges in terms of the age difference between them?
Right. I'm unaware of anything that occurred when she was still a young teen, 14 or so. Destiny, do you have anything? I'm not sure.
As far as him reaching out to her and continuously texting her while she was a teen, he convinced her to get away from our family during her teens, told her that he would find different households for her to live in within the church to get her away from our family. As well as he helped her get a car. And
yeah, and this is another thing I just thought about. This is another thing, because I've watched a lot of the Scientology, the Nexium. God, if you haven't heard about Nexium, oh my goodness, they are bad. Of course, they're no longer, but really, really bad. But yeah, this is a common thing where, especially in Nexium, and I think a little bit with Scientology, but this more aligns with Nexium, uh, where yes, they would get victims, and they would, especially girls, pretty girls, and then they start pulling them away from the family, um, and then start having them, kind of almost like brainwashed under the churches, and that's how it starts.
Told her to find adults and tell them stories that they could trust, to get her away from our family. And that's how he initially isolated her during her teens.
Do you think, Destiny, that he was having a sexual relationship with her when she was underage?
That I can't lay any claim to. I'm not exactly sure to the extent of the relationship at that time, other than the getting her away from the family, getting her to talk to other people, and putting her in homes of other family members. But that is when I believe that the initial grooming did start.
And Destiny, just describe some of the changes that you saw in your sister after she married John Paul.
Micah was so full of life. She was funny and energetic, someone that just lit up every room that she walked into. And once they were together, especially for that first initial couple years, I mean, she just deteriorated. She was not herself. You could see that maybe she was you could see just the downfall in her personality as far as becoming sad or trying to put on a mask to not let people in of her own private, from what I'm finding out, on her own private hell.
Michael, is there a chance that you and your family will launch any kind of civil litigation against John Paul Miller, whether it's wrongful death or whether it's an encouragement for the police to launch criminal charges for anything they may discover in the evidence that we've been able to unearth, the stalking and the harassment, the physical evidence and the admissions and the emails, even to our producer, that he had done those things?
Sick. One day I'm going to preach about getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just kidding. That was wrong. I told you I shouldn't be here today. I told you. Last year, my wife, they went to Africa, had a wonderful trip, amazing trip, and she came back with the idea to start a school in Africa. And 6 weeks ago, she goes in the hospital, gets out, and just leaves, just completely leaves me, leaves everything, drains the bank account, and goes. And guess what? While you're talking about
and she just got put in a mental institution or whatever by him, and he's complaining why she just up and leaves. I don't blame her. I would try to get out of the country.
About me out there, I'm building
like she did
school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed. The elders walked out.
And then he justifies it by, well, I'm building a church, Oh, what a... Anyway, Cynthia Gaines, good to see you. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. You are so sweet. Any donations, PayPal, Venmo. We not only cover true crime and stuff, as I mentioned earlier in the show, but we do go out and search for the missing. We just got back searching for Aiden Clune for the third time. But I also want to get out one more time this month, as maybe as early as this next weekend. So I'm going to do a members live Tuesday, and we're going to kind of just decide as a group what case we should go out and search for, somewhere that's kind of around my area, Utah, Idaho, surrounding area. But anyway, back to this. If you're coming in and missed some of the first part, we will go back and talk about the bruises and stuff, because I do some further analysis as well and discovered some interesting things. But I just wanted to go to the reports, that were on March 11th, where, she had her tires slashed. This wasn't the first time. This is the second time this week, or within a week, that she had her tires deflated. And we can pretty much assume who is behind this. And she went to go have, the tire fixed. She also found a tracking device. And from my count, from what I saw in a report, there was at least 3 to 4 tracking devices that had been placed on her vehicles, which is just wild. And then somebody admits to it as well.
Walkers, you'll be in jail. Hey. No way.
I'll show you the pictures.
Do you want to go to jail?
They'll be on Facebook in a few hours.
Alrighty, you'll be in jail in a few hours. Walk away.
So that was March 11th, the day after, or the day of when she went to go get her tire repaired. And he showed up and she got her phone out. But here he is threatening to post some stuff on Facebook. And the family claims that he had access to most of her social media accounts. And we know later down the road, this is March 11th, I think, was it? I can't remember if it's late March or early April, where he actually ends up posting photo of her on Facebook, a nude photo of her. And we've talked about that many times, how there have been people that have taken their lives because of that kind of behavior. So another report with her in the tracking devices. And I just wanted to pull these up. I know we've gone over these, so I'm not going to read these again. 4/8 is when he had put out the post with her nude photo. So that was April 8th. And then 4/15, this is another reported tracker. And again, I think we're up to 3 or 4 trackers that are talked about. And they're even mentioned in this, and they even mention in these reports that the sister had put out about PIs and people being hired to follow her. And JP was dumb enough, or smart enough, to post this to News Nation, where it says, I even hired PI to put trackers on her car to know if she was going to a gun store, because she kept trying to get a gun for the past few months. I have never once in my entire life hurt her in any way ever. So here he is admitting he has hired PIs and put trackers on her car. So hopefully, and they even talk about this, I think, in this same interview, because I think there's a little bit more that statements like this could be used against him. And I hope so, if there is just cause for this behavior.
Absolutely. We're going to push for every law that can help and push for laws that don't even exist yet. We need a lot of support. We need people that can help write new laws if necessary, and staff this situation to springboard forward and protect Micah and also protect anybody else in the future. And we'll definitely pursue that. Wrongful, everything. He has caused terrible pain and tragedy throughout this.
Michael, what was the last conversation you had with your daughter, Micah?
It was about, it was the day before, gosh. It was basically about how things were going. I was talking with her about music, and we wanted to do some recording. And
so I think correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like he said he talked to her the day before. So this has been April 26th. And so she's talking about, hey, coming over and do some recording, because she had a wonderful voice. She sang for the church many times. There's many videos of her out there, where she's singing at these services. And I just, you're planning to record songs. The family mentioned many times that this wasn't a person that seemed like she was going to go take her life, because she was making plans for the future. I mean, why are you sending divorce papers 2 days before, she takes her life? It just, There's many things that
She
don't
just
add up.
absolutely had no signs of anything drastic in her life that would be that bad. She did mention that she was feeling some depression, and she was didn't understand. She didn't understand why this pressure was coming back, because she was feeling better and better the longer she was away from John Paul. And I believe it's due to the stalking and the slashing her tires and causing her just pressure, as she felt like she had to look over her shoulder all the time. So she felt like she needed a weapon to protect herself. So, this is not normal. She was not in a situation where we would think, oh, we need to be watching her, or, I left. She was doing fine. She had a job. She was moving forward. And then suddenly, here we go. Here we are.
Michael, Francis, and
So we're going to look at this. So if you came in a little bit late, we're going to look at, like I said, I enhanced the photos. And there's also something that that's missing in the photo that we'll get to here in just a little bit. But let's just go over the timeline of her last day here. And then we'll get to the AI enhancement here in just a minute here. And there were some things that I discovered that were a little interesting. Just getting caught up in chat here. That Mama Norma. Did they find the gun in the car? The gun supposedly was found near her body. And then they were able to trace the gun back to the serial or to the case that it came with, and the receipt. And of course, they have serial numbers on the gun, so you can track them. So all that lined up. But anyway, so she leaves home at 11:38. So let's take a look at some short video and some still clips of her leaving at 11:38 on this tragic day here. So here's her. Now we can see her necklace here. Got her sunglasses. Now it appears that she has a shirt over her long sleeve black shirt. Because when I first saw this, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. She's clearly wearing something different at the pawn shop, which is the next destination she goes to. She's definitely not wearing this. So I'm assuming this is maybe either just kind of a button-up collared shirt over her, kind of sweatshirt. We also see that she has this piercing up here that's pretty unique, and I believe a tattoo under that. I believe that's a tattoo. Let me know in chat. Another thing I notice is we've got her right hand out. We can see her watch. Again, I don't know if that's an Apple Watch or if that's just a regular digital watch. I'm not an Apple person. She also has this kind of like little mini backpack, which I believe was recovered as well. Because I mentioned fanny pack type bag, I think. Anyway, I wanted to look at all the details. Is that a work uniform? Yeah, it does kind of look like a work uniform. It certainly does. Yeah, I couldn't tell what the writing on that was. I didn't spend a lot of time. Oops, I went back too far. I see, actually, I'm just going to write this down. I see a T, a U, R, S. That's what I see, but I could be wrong. T, U, R, S. Or T-E-R-S. I think it's T-E-R-S. I don't know. I might have to go back to that. Yeah, I'm not sure what she did after the church. That's a good question. If anybody knows in the chat, let me know. So she leaves at 11:38. She gets to the pawn shop at 12:12. Here's a picture of her. Here's her Honda, and here is oops, a little fast there. So you can see here, it's kind of blocked here, but 427, 12:04. Here's her walking in. Now, first thing that popped out to me is that she is not wearing that collared shirt. Who knows? Maybe it was just too warm, and having that collared shirt on, she decided to take that off. But she's got her sunglasses up. She got her belt. I can even see the watch on her left hand. So we can see here, I flipped this. Keep in mind, this photo is flipped. So this is actually her right hand. We can see that she's got her watch. So everything lines up, because I know some people are saying this isn't the same person. So far, what I've seen, it looks like Ruby Tuesdays. Didn't look like days at the end. But that's not a bad guess. Here's a close up the watch. Again, I don't know what kind of watch that is, but we can see it. Again, this is flipped. This is her right hand. Or no, this is her left hand. Yeah, that's her left hand. I'm sorry. And here's another photo with that. So that appears to line up. You can kind of see the necklace. It fades when I do the AI enhancement, because keep in mind, it kind of blends stuff in. But I can kind of see the necklace here. It's very faint, but it appears to be there. But again, we look at the left hand here. I don't see any bruising. Again, you know, we've got a photo. But here's where things get a little weird. Cynthia Gaines. Chris, I heard she led a youth group and a women's group at the church. Yeah, I think you're right. That's how he supposedly met her before they, got married. She was part of the youth group, and yeah, as far as I'm not sure when she left that church. I'm not sure which month it was, if it was February or before that. But she ended up leaving that church and actually going to a different church, getting rebaptized, I believe. But yes, you're right. For a long while, she did work for that church. And thank you so much, Cynthia. But here's some things that I thought were interesting. So we can see on her right hand. So we're looking at her right hand. She's got, I'm assuming, the Bible here. We know that, as you can see right here, she has a tattoo. She has, apparently there's like one cross and one smaller cross. Almost looks like there's one big one and two small ones. And from JP's service, he had mentioned, talked about the story of when he got his, and they were supposed to be kind of like matching tattoos. So anyway, keep in mind this is on her right hand. And keep in mind we can see this ring. I can kind of see the ring there, because this would be her right hand. Now, of course, we'll get to look at her right hand again, but I can see where there's something that shines right there, so it appears that that ring is there. And as we zoom in a little bit more, we can kind of see where it... And yeah, you can see the necklace a little bit better here. It may be hard for people that are on the phone to see it, but you can barely kind of make out the circle right there. And then you can see notice all the other fingers, for the most part, have the same color. And then notice this one's almost like whiter, which I'm assuming is coming from the ring itself. But now when we look at her right hand, this is where things got a little weird. If you missed it, the father mentioned that she had bruising. I'm assuming he's talking about when he got to see the body before it was cremated. This is her father saying this. Oh, and here's a picture here. You can see the necklace. So there's the necklace. That's a good one there. But he said that she had bruising. He doesn't mention which hand, but she had bruising on one of her hands. And then he said that he uses the phrase injuries and a handprint on one of her arms. Now, unfortunately, of course, her arms are covered, so we can't really base any information off this photo here. But here's her right hand. And there's something that I don't see. Now, keep in mind, it could just be the distance from the photo, but I do not see the tattoo there. And this is her right hand. The tattoo should be right here. It could be that the tattoo is just too small that it doesn't appear. But I'm going to put a side-by-side up here in just 1 second. So here's our side-by-side. We can see where her tattoo would be. So it should be sitting right here. And I don't see it. She could have had it removed. I don't know if anybody knows if she had that tattoo removed. But I do not see that tattoo at all. Doesn't mean it's not there. But I thought that was kind of interesting that tattoo is not there. Oh, that makes sense. J. Peters Bar Grill. Yep, Peters, because I told you it looked like TERS. Yep, you're right. Thank you, AC. You're awesome. We'll even look at that. I bet you that is exactly probably what that is. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, she could have had it removed, but and then the other thing is I don't see any bruises on her hand. Maybe it could be on the palm of her hand. He doesn't specify in the interview, but neither hand shows any kind of bruising. That doesn't mean it's not there, but I just don't see any. Again, this isn't like a close-up photo of her hand, so then she after she leaves the pawn shop, she then heads to a gas station. She arrives there at 1:35. Well, it says 1:35 here, but I think she arrived a few minutes early. Here it shows 13:27. Some people think that they filled this in. I've seen this done a lot before where you've got like the white and the black. I need to look into why that happens. Some people feel like they tampered with this. It's possible, but I've seen this happen many times before. I don't know why. But here's the gas station. Apparently she gets gas and she gets some drinks, I believe. The other thing I want to mention is the few people that have seen this video, it's just a 2-second clip of her walking. And I will do a side-by-side of her in just a minute. People claim that this wasn't her because this looked like she was a little bit wider. I do want to mention that, certain cameras have different lenses. There's a thing known as a fish cam lens. It can make things appear much bigger than they really are. So keep that in mind. But to me, as we slow it down, we got the glasses up top. This was where this is the pawn shop, and then she went there. This all kind of lines up. Of course, this is very grainy, so there's not much other details we can really point out except for the glasses and just the basic body type and the clothing. But to me, they appear to match. Again, the people that believe this is fake say that she seems to be too big. But again, I say there are camera lenses that can change the perspective of things.
p.m. At 2:54 p.m., Micah would make a 911 call from her cell phone.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi.
So, if you guys remember my last live Friday, I mentioned that I was going to look into the 911 call because people had mentioned that they may have heard some other people or a male voice in the background. If we get a chance, we can look at that. But from what I heard, what you're hearing is actually from the call, the 911 call, the dispatcher, because it's a call center. So just like any call center, you hear other voices. And to me, it sounds like it's just coming from the call center.
Are you able to trace the location of my phone?
You don't know where you're at?
A national park.
So we'll listen to the guy that found or heard the cry and the gunshot. If you haven't heard that interview. So, she called 911 just before 3, and then sadly took her life not too long after that. And as they got out there, they were starting to get equipment to look for her, and then they had this one guy come up and said that he had found part of her belongings and talked about hearing some crying and then a gunshot. And then, so we're going to hear his statement as well.
Jacobs tells me he'd been fishing for several hours on April 27th at the Lumber River State Park when he heard a faint cry. He says 2 or 3 minutes later, he heard a gunshot.
I said, oh my God, don't tell me, because the crying had stopped. I said, don't tell me something's happened, don't tell me something. I was getting ready to get out of there. Another 3 people came into the lake on a boat, and I plainly asked them, I said, did y'all hear that gunshot? They said yes.
Jacob says he couldn't see anything because of all the trees blocking his view.
This here's the park, of course. This is where I put my boat in at.
He showed me a map on his phone of the Lumber River State Park to better show his location on the river that day.
You see how thick the woods are? That's why I couldn't see nothing. So right along in here is where I found Micah's belongings at.
He says he found Micah's backpack, glasses, and cell phone on the bank and gave them all to deputies on scene. He says he didn't know Micah and has no reason to lie to police. Johnny Jacobs wants the unfair targeting against him to end.
I want this to stop as far as me. I don't want to make this all about me because I'm still thinking about Micah. I'm trying to respect her family. And I got total respect for them, and I am so sorry for what they're going through. I never thought my day would turn out like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wanted to go after that guy. I feel really bad for him. God, to have to, sadly experience that. That's terrible. You know, you're just going out there to fish, and then sadly have to hear crying and a gunshot. I can't imagine what that would be like. But he claims that some kayakers had passed. They had heard the gunshot, and then they were the ones that had found her body. They located the gun. I believe they had also saw somewhere where she had, like, I believe her little back. It might have been her backpack that we saw her wearing. They mentioned like a fanny pack, so I think that could be it. That had some of her belongings in it. And I think if there's anything else on that in front. And then, of course, they matched the gun to the serial number and everything. So there's that, where they talk about matching the gun and the bullets, and everything kind of lined up on that. And then, of course, he had an alibi. We talked about that earlier. But considering that he did have her tracked with other people, again, I don't think he was directly involved, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities that something else nefarious happened there. But I think at the end of the day, I still think he was liable for pushing her over the edge, and that's what the family feels like. And we'll recap just a couple of things, but here is something that his ex-wife had said. Micah Miller's pastor husband was accused by his ex-wife of committing acts with children and being addicted to workers. I have to be careful how I say that because of YouTube, but again, that's a pretty bold claim, but considering a lot of the stuff that has been out there, that would not surprise me. Yeah, she did hang up, and they did try to contact her, but sadly, I know some felt like she could have done better. Again, I think they responded pretty fast considering the time frame. But yeah. Cynthia heard cry but didn't hear the 911 call. Was there a great distance between the two? It sounded like it. Sounded, I don't know the exact positions of the two. So, yeah, unfortunately, don't know those exact details. But if you missed, how many people we got in here? Almost 600. Again, thank you to everybody, and I just want to say for those that came in late, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I'm just going to recap a few things here, and then read chat, and then we'll finish up. But if you missed what the father said, he drops a bombshell. He drops a couple of bombshells.
Thank you to both of you. And may I just say I am so sorry. Investigation has been less than complete, to say the least, on Micah's death.
My theory of how Micah died. Well, I know she was pushed to the brink. I know that there is no reason for her to be out there in that area. We've never been there. She's never been there. My theory is broad right now. There's bruises on her hand. There's injury to her other arm, like a handprint. And these things were not documented, and they do not show up for no reason.
Bruises on her hand. I'm just going to play that one more time, but that's pretty startling.
Bruises on her hand. There's injury to her other arm, like a handprint. And these things were not documented, and they do not show up for no reason. And we were not satisfied.
And keep in mind, JP wanted her body cremated. They had to sign some they had to sign some documents just so they could see her body. And I'm assuming those documents entailed that once they sign these, they're basically giving up their, whatever rights or, and that she's going to be cremated. So absolutely terrible. They do also talk about how because of this, they want to pass a couple of different laws. Something tells me this is going to be one in particular, as far as the family being able to have a say in what happens with a loved one's body. I'm assuming that's got to be one of them. And then let's talk about. Let me know what you guys think about this surgery. This was another one. So this was another big bombshell. I think it's here.
For quite a while, previous to her commitment to the
important for the family, still have not released Micah's personal possessions, like her cell phone in particular, which is a pretty critical piece of evidence. Tell me why it is so important for the family to get those things back.
Micah had been gathering information to help with her divorce for quite a while, previous to her commitment to the hospital that was unwilling. She had all of her stuff on her phone at that time and her laptop. When she was committed against her will, John Paul had went to the hospital to pick up her items, deleted all of her information off of those items, and held them till they were past the date that we could recover anything. So it's very vital for us to get this cell phone that she currently had, because we do believe that there could be quite a bit of evidence on there.
She was being groomed from the time she was a child?
Absolutely. Yes, her demeanor changed over time, and she became more and more compressed, less and less of herself. And as soon as they got married, her behavior went downhill fast as far as being her lively, jovial self. And she seemed to be more sad, more under control, and didn't seem to be her free self, didn't seem to be able to accomplish things she wanted to without him causing them to end. She would do something amazing, and he would shut it down and would not repeat function. I just believe he really compressed her. I really believe that he just sucked the life right out of her and caused her to go downhill from the moment after they got married, the moment after he forced her to have a certain surgery. And she had a
forced her to have a certain surgery. What do you guys think that surgery may have been? I know Ashley Banfield kind of goes into questions about, possible, stuff happening before her being 18. And again, we don't know if that is, what that's related to, as they just kind of mentioned that. But man, it's so tragic. Just looking at the chat here for a minute. Oh, surgery was. I didn't even think about that, because the way she kind of went towards, made me wonder if there was like, they aborted something, if you know what I mean. The way she went with that. But yeah, you guys could be right on that. Again, I didn't even think about that. I just kind of went with where Ashley was going, but yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. So yeah, that could make sense. That would make sense. Again, yeah, we don't know, so we want to be careful. But I don't know. Like, this is the thing about the breast augmentation, though. Like, why wouldn't he be able to talk about it? Like, to me, that seems like not as a big deal, but I don't know. Then again, I never been in that position as a father or, something like that. So I don't know. To me, yeah, I was getting it. To me, I was getting the hints of, they were trying to cover something up, or he was. But again, we don't know. That too. Yeah, Kim A. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Hysterectomy. Yep. Yeah, that was going to be my next thing I was going to mention. That could have been. Yeah, because he already had five kids? I think if I had to lean to all of them that's been mentioned, I think that would probably make the most sense. Yeah, because he already had 5. So, yeah, I think. So, and then that's got to be terrible. So, I think that's where I would lean, but again, we don't know for sure. Oh, yes, definitely. For sure. Yeah. So anyway, just quick recap. So I just want to say thank you to everybody and happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers. We'll be back live Monday. Tuesday we'll have a members live, and then I'll have some more stuff for the members and Patreons again for a part 2 of the search for Aiden, more drone footage, and then yeah, we're gonna try to go out one more time this month. We're looking at towards probably this next weekend. And so anyway, all the support from you guys, donations, just hitting the like button, taking the time just to show up in the chat, supports this channel, and we're going to be going right back out and searching for another missing person. And we're going to kind of decide who we're going to look for probably Tuesday during the members live. So, but I think with that, I think I'm gonna head out. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Cynthia, I think I got that one. June with the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much, June. Thank you to all that could donate. Again, I use what the support comes in to give right back by helping search for the missing. So, and thank you. And thank you, Beauty for Ashes. Yeah. So again, we got an amazing community, and then of course, thank you to all my wonderful mods being here on Sunday, helping with the channel. And with that, we will be back tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will go from there. So I hope that you guys have the rest of a great weekend, and we will see you guys tomorrow. I love you guys.